There are some mysteries that defy explanation, stories so strange, so unsettling that they haunt us for decades. Today, we're diving deep into one such mystery, an American case so baffling it has been compared to the infamous Dyatlov Pass incident. 5 young men, a seemingly ordinary night, and an outcome that left investigators scratching their heads to this day. What really happened to the Yuba County 5? Let's unravel this chilling mystery together. The Dyatlov Pass incident, one of Russia's most enduring mysteries, saw 9 experienced hikers die under bizarre circumstances, some with missing body parts, some without clothes, and some even showing traces of radiation. Theories have ranged from avalanches to military experiments to paranormal forces. The scene was chaotic, with evidence suggesting the hikers fled in terror from their tents, leaving behind vital supplies in sub-zero temperatures. And while we may never fully understand what happened on that fateful night in 1959, there's a case much closer to home that echoes its eerie, unexplained nature. The story of the Yuba County 5 is similar. A group of friends disappears. Their remains are discovered under disturbing conditions. And to this day, we have more questions than answers. But what makes this case so chilling is that these men weren't experienced hikers lost in the wilderness. They were 5 ordinary friends who took a wrong turn into the unknown, a mistake that would prove fatal. The Yuba County 5 were best friends from Yuba City, California. Jack Hewitt, 24, Ted Weir, 32, Bill Sterling, 29, Jack Madruga, 30, and Gary Mathias, 25, all shared a love for basketball and played for a special needs team in their community. While they all had either mild intellectual disabilities or mental health conditions, they were high-functioning and could take care of themselves. Their bond was strong, and their routines were well-established. Among them, Gary Mathias stood out. A former Army soldier, he had been discharged due to schizophrenia, but was reportedly stable thanks to medication. He had experienced episodes in the past, but his family believed he had turned a corner. He also knew survival skills, something that makes what happened next all the more baffling. If anyone in the group could have led them to safety, it would have been him. February 24th, 1978, should have been an exciting night. The friends had a big basketball tournament the next morning, one they were thrilled about. Winning the tournament meant qualifying for a week-long championship, something they had been anticipating for months. But first, they wanted to watch their favorite team, UC Davis, play in Chico, California, 50 miles away. They drove in Jack Madruga's prized white and turquoise Montego. After the game, they stopped at a local convenience store about at 10 p.m. for snacks, milk, soda, and candy bars. The store owner later recalled them as cheerful but eager to head home. That was the last confirmed sighting of the 5 men alive. They would have been driving straight back to Yuba City because they had that big basketball tournament the next morning. So that night, some of the boys' parents had stayed awake to wait for their son to come home, and they didn't. It was starting to get late. The parents started calling each other to ask if they had seen their son, and no one had. It was strange because the boys always told their parents and loved ones where they were going to be. But the idea that they would jeopardize a good night's sleep before this tournament that they had been obsessing about. The next morning, all the families called the police and said something is wrong, so the police officer in charge of the investigation immediately started searching for these boys. First few hours of the search don't turn anything up, so they decide that they're going to greatly expand their search radius. Just a few days later, they were able to locate Jack Madruga's Montego car. But the car was found 70 miles away from Yuba City, away from Chico, up in a remote forest on a dirt road. The families of the boys had no idea, they couldn't even speculate, why that car would have driven up that access road into this remote forest. There was no reason. There was no indication that it had been stuck in snow. There was a quarter tank of gas, so it didn't run out of gas. There were no keys in the ignition, so when the police had to hotwire it to drive it back, the car ran just fine, so there were no mechanical issues or any engine issues. Over the first couple of days, following the discovery of the car, they're looking everywhere, and there's no sign of the boys. And then unfortunately, a massive snowstorm rolls in and basically covers everything to the point where it's impossible to search, and they had to abandon the search until the early spring. Even after 3 months, they made no progress. They had no idea where these boys were. Then, in June, as the snow began to melt, the truth started to emerge. On June 4th, 1978, a little over 3 months after the boys has gone missing, a group of motorcyclists was on a road trip, and they parked their bikes in, and they decided to just kind of stretch their legs. They see this old-looking trailer, and they decide just out of curiosity to just kind of walk over and see what it is. They're walking over, they see that one of the windows has been broken, and they think, okay, it's more than likely abandoned. And they think they're just going to open the door, poke their head in, and just see what's in there. They open the door, and they're immediately hit with this horrible smell, and they shut the door. Inside that trailer, wrapped in 8 blankets, was the body of Ted Weir. He had wasted away over 13 weeks, showing severe frostbite and starvation. Yet the trailer contained food rations, matches, and even a propane heater, none of which had been used. Had Ted been too disoriented or weak to access these life-saving resources? Nearby, Jack Hewitt's remains were found 2 miles away, and Bill Sterling and Jack Madruga were discovered 11 miles from the car, likely succumbing to hypothermia. The fact that they had traveled so far in freezing conditions raises unsettling questions. Were they searching for help or running from something? But the biggest mystery: Gary Mathias was never found. Only his shoes were in the trailer, as if he had left barefoot into the wilderness. This has led to endless speculation. Did he venture off in search of help, or did something sinister happen to him? What really happened to the Yuba County Five? Several theories exist, each more unsettling than the last. Some believe they simply took a wrong turn, got stuck in the snow, and walked to find shelter. But this doesn't explain why they didn't use the resources available. Did confusion or fear cloud their judgment? Some suspect they were running from someone or something, possibly a stranger they encountered after the game. Could a random act of violence or a sinister force have played a role? Since Gary was never found, some theorists suggest he may have led the group astray or had a schizophrenic episode. But without evidence, this remains speculation. Given the eerie similarities to Dyatlov Pass, some wonder if something inexplicable caused their bizarre behavior. Could an unknown force or psychological phenomenon have driven them to act irrationally? Despite decades of investigation, the mystery remains. What made them abandon their car? Why did they hike for miles in the snow? And what happened to Gary Mathias? We may never know the full truth. But what do you think? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you love mysterious stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, stay curious.